welcome today. Today I'm going to share and have a conversation with Claire Delaney, who is an amazing art tutor. She's an illustrator and an author of a children's book called Little Wing. And today the interview really is around following your dream, because we can get really stuck in thinking that we can't do things. Claire had a passion, had a vision, had a dream, and brought that to fruition. So welcome, Claire. So tell us a little bit about yourself, just your background and what you've done in terms of your art and your creation.
I'm from England originally, and as long as I can remember, I've always drawn, scribbled, written. Yeah, and not really knowing what was more important, the writing or the drawing, and always knew I wanted to carry on in something creative. And I went to art college. I actually did a degree in fashion and textiles, but yeah, I did a 5 years formal training.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, and I've had the pleasure of actually Claire being my tutor for 5 years, so I know how awesome she is. And also part of her story, which was, and I'll get you to tell that, Claire, about when you were asked what you want to do, and you said, I want to, and I'll let you tell the rest of the story.
Okay. So yeah, so as I said, I knew I wanted to do something creative, but wasn't quite sure exactly what. But was always writing, and then illustrating, I guess, doing little pictures with it. And when I went to art college, yes, she knows the story, when I was 16, I got in, and the director said, "Oh, why do you want to come to art college?" And I said, "Well, I want to write children's books and illustrate them." And he laughed, and he said, "You and everyone else." And it was a throwaway comment, but it stuck. And unfortunately, it stopped me from doing what I wanted to do for many years, because I felt like there was already too many illustrators, there was too many writers, and I was little me, and how could I do that? And luckily the textile tutor was very enthusiastic, and I was, I had ability with colour, and it was fun. So I went off, and look, it all comes full circle, because I don't regret doing the textiles and the fashion, and you can see later on that's all come back into my storytelling. But it's interesting how one throwaway comment, stopped the direction that I could have gone into at that time.
And that's what's really inspiring about Claire's story, is that throwaway comment, and you may have throwaway comments that have occurred in your life that have prevented you from really following the dream that you had. And it's often when we're in those formative years, the age sort of 12 to 17 or 18, where we've got this real passion about this is where I want to impact on the world. And we lose that through a comment that somebody has made, or think that we're unworthy. And Claire has a real beautiful way with words. She's very gifted. And so when I heard that story, that I want to be in a story, write stories, and you and everybody else, and chose not to do that, then it just astounded me, because her words are absolutely beautiful. And I'm going to get Claire to show something now. Would you like to show us your arm, Claire?
Oh, my arm. Oh, okay. This is my tattoo. The story starts here, and my little swirl there as well, at New Beginnings. You want me to tell them about that?
Absolutely. So the story of this, because this is all about words and the significance, and really when we put a stake in the ground. So yeah, I'd love you to tell the story, please.
Okay, well, I've always doodled this little shape here. I live in New Zealand now, and so I guess it can look like a Maori design, but it was more of my Celtic. It was a lovely, pleasing shape, and I just always drew it on, but thought again, maybe I shouldn't have it on my hand. It's maybe not good to have out with people seeing it. Maybe I'll do some sort of proper job one day. And then, I don't know, I got into my 40s and thought, well, this is what I'm going to do. So I went along and got my tattoo. It was 2 years ago. And he said, well, it won't take very long. Do you want something else? And I went, I have to have words. But I sort of wanted something about my story is your story is mine, but it was a bit long. Could have hurt quite a lot. So, the story starts here. It's just to remind me that it starts and stops with me. Every day is a new day, and every day is a new story, and about being present, because everything else is just a story. What's been before is a story. What we tell ourselves about the future is a story, and all we actually have is right now. So those dots are really important, because that's right now. And someone looked at it and they said, "Oh, the story starts here, so everything else is history." And it's like, yeah, basically. So that's a good reminder for me. And I think with the book as well, every time I faltered, every time I, thought, oh, it's too hard, I can't do it, I looked down and went, well, the story starts with me. It's just in me, so I have to do it.
Mm. And part of what's really great about Claire is the fact that actually she really lives her walk and her talk really well. So when she says that the story starts here, doing the book wasn't necessarily easy. There's a whole lot of components. Anybody who's undertaken a great project will understand that fear comes up. There's the inadequacy. Can I do it? All of those questions that can potentially stop us from moving forward. So what's also really great about Claire's story with Little Wing, and I'll show you that in a moment, the actual book, is the amount of collaboration that came and the support that came from many different avenues. And when we have faith in what we know, and faith in who we are, and faith in the present moment, then a lot of opportunities will come our way. We will get support from many unknown sources. So I'm going to ask Claire to give you a little bit more information about that, because that in itself is inspiring.
So, as I said, always wanted to write the children's books, and but with that feeling that I wasn't good enough, or it wasn't my proper job, because by then I was doing a lot of textile work, I had set up my own business, I was doing a lot of fine arts, a lot of paintings, selling throughout the UK in galleries, and teaching. I loved teaching in the community. So I would scribble little drawings in the back of the books, and always had sketchbooks, and would often be when I was a bit bored, my mind would just wander and I'd just be scribbling along. And then frequently with the paintings that I would do, people would say, well, what are they about? What's the story behind it? And I was like, okay. So the stories aren't going away. And I noticed that paintings would sell more if I put words by the side of them. And it was like my arm, the story starter. So I would rather people looked at paintings and made up their own stories, but a lot of people needed a nudge, needed a kind of a direction of where things had come from. And so I did that, and an exhibition at the Art Depot, must be about 5 years ago, it was about 2 halves, so I did 2 wings, and so 2 little blocks of wings, and which have sold since, so I can't show you those. And people wanted to know the story, obviously, behind them. And because what was the point of having 1 wing? And so I wrote a little thing about the girl with 1 wing, and it was, even if it was a very beautiful ring, it was pointless because she couldn't fly. And so I wrote this little thing, and this character, the Hat Man, who's been sort of with me since I was about 16, he sort of comes in as the wise voice and sort of tells her things about her wing, that she actually does have another wing on her back. And so there was just this little start of a story, and a few of my friends were kind of reading it, and then one of my students and also a friend, Sarah Elworthy, popped her head over my shoulder and read it and said, "Ooh, I could turn that into a children's book if you'd like." And Sarah's an amazing book designer, and so she was really the starter of the. She had said to me quite a few times, you really ought to be doing illustration. I was like, oh, no, not me. And when she said that, it was like that moment when, the goosebumps come, the deep breath, right. If I was saying, yes, now we're not going to turn back and there's going to be a lot of work. And I had no idea how to do it. And she's the other end. I mean, she's the tidying up everything, so she didn't know how either. So, but we launched this little project, and once it started, it really couldn't stop.
Yeah, and that's what happens. Things get a life of their own when you're operating from that level of soul and spirit. Then once you make that mark in the sand and you take that step forward, then life conspires to push you along, even when things get a little bit hard. So it's just a reminder for us all to hook into what our passion is, what our soul is yearning to do, because if that's what you're meant to be doing, life and the universe and spirit support you in many ways. Have you got any other ways you'd like to share?
Well, with the book, I think the biggest thing for me was the how, and the how in itself was enough to stop me, because I would do all these drawings and these started off, doing watercolours because that was my sort of passion right from way back, and creating the characters, and that wasn't too hard to. I had them in my head, so it was quite easy to sort of, find the characters, but they did change, from what was, and doing something once, was, I don't know what I can do, you can't make it look the same. So for a child, you have to have the character looking as, exactly the same the whole way through the book. And so that was one of my biggest obstacles, of having to draw something about 15 times. Yes, so the consistency was the big thing with me, and that's when I was just felt like I was walking in the dark, really, of not knowing what I was doing, but still sort of talking to Sarah. We'd look at things, put them on the computer, and I thought I had a book. I thought it was, to what I wanted. It would have been a colourful book. It would have probably been, printed with a self-published, probably, because I wanted to have control over all the artwork and the story. And just fluke. There was an illustration course at Corbyn's Art Centre, and it was a summer school. And I suddenly had this inkling that I needed to go on it, and it was Sandra Morris and Nina Rycroft were running it. And I went along thinking, but why am I here? Why am I here? I've got this book, we're nearly ready to publish. And yet there was still this big part of me that felt such a novice, that I was a fake because I didn't know what I was doing. I was just bluffing my way the whole way. And I went on the course, and the course was blown away by these two amazing women and what they brought to the table, and their honesty as well. And they looked at my drawings, and and they weren't unkind, but I could tell that the book would be really inconsistent and wouldn't hold up as a children's book. As individual pieces of artwork, they were nice. But to get that consistency. And so the biggest thing I took from their course was making a model. And I don't know whether do you want to pass one of the...
I think she's gorgeous.
Okay, well this is the
This
witch.
is the witch.
So, like I said, the problem is to draw a character over and over again. But if you actually make the character, so these are made out of poly clay and wire, and you sort of... I decided to dress mine, but you can see the bodies underneath. They're just wound up with wire, and you bake the clay. And I've always hated working with clay. I hate the dryness of it, but this poly clay is really nice. She's been drawn a lot, so some of her fingers have come off. We need a bit of repairing. But it means I can draw her profile. I can draw her from the back. I can draw her bent over. And it was invaluable. It was just so valuable that I could just have these models. And also they really concreted the design, having little details. And of course, and then it came full circle of why I did all those years of textiles. Some of the other ones I've actually printed their own clothes as well, silkscreen printed them. They're all hand sewn beads. I'm not a dressmaker, so they're all tacked on. It's rough and ready. It's whatever I found in the studio. But they're mine, and they were my stories, and I went into the world of the book once I got the characters, and then the book just took on a whole different journey and became simpler. This drawing here actually came out of the illustration course, and it was about simplifying the line, and so then it went on to that was what ended up with the being blacker when we took it into print. And I realised I couldn't draw.
These ones here.
I couldn't draw that loosely and small. So what I ended up doing when I've made the model, like for instance the Hat Man, he's quite huge, scale wise. He's quite big, and then little wings down here. Well, I would draw him really, really large, and then keep photocopying him down and down and down until I got the size that I wanted. And then I didn't have fussy lines, so it was like going from sort of of doing lots and lots of layers of paint to when you're working with line, it's how little can we have and still keep that character, still keep the essence of the story through the pictures. And so the book took on different turnings, and I went back to Sarah and said, want to do it quite differently, and so started again. And I've been exploring this idea of creativity, and that Elizabeth Gilbert says there's this thing that you have to do with creativity, is that it has to be everything to you, absolutely everything in your whole life, and in the same token you have to be willing to completely throw it away. And it's that sort of, I don't know, is paradox the right word? It's this kind of, and for me the book was everything, but I had to come to that point where I haven't thrown them away, but the 4 years work that the book took. I mean, took a year from the first lot was 3 years, so 3 years work to go, no, it's not what I want to put out there. And in the original drawings, there was a little thing where Little Wing was on her quest trying to find out how to free her wing, and she had no idea how. And so there was a picture of her being really little, looking at this great big wall of bricks, like Pink Floyd's wall, and it was a how, and she stood up there looking at it. I couldn't draw it. I just was completely blocked about drawing it, and Sarah said to me, maybe we just need to take the how out of the book. And when she said that, I went, yes, let's just take it out because it's such a block. And so we took the how out and we just went, just turn up, do the work, it'll all fall in place. And that does sound naive, and it's not without asking questions. You know, I would talk about it constantly to whoever was willing to listen. And I met a lovely man called Willie Conradi, and he's passionate about printing, letterpress printing, old-fashioned printing, and works at volunteers at Motat, and has learned how to do printing the old-fashioned way, and really intrigued me. And we just were talking about it, and I said, wow, wouldn't it be cool to print the book this way and make the book something more like an art piece, you know, of a historical thing of value. And we both saw this treasure, and we had this vision then of, you know, the book seemed like it had been kind of fumbling around, and then suddenly together the collaboration went, yes, you know, this is what we want to do. And in order to do that successfully, I had to give up colour, because to do a 4-colour printing would have been so technically difficult and way over budget. As it is, it's incredibly expensive process to do. And when we printed like that, we knew we wanted to make it limited edition, you know, on the best paper we could, just do the whole project as a piece of artwork from beginning to end. And Willie had never printed a book either, so he didn't have any idea how. But luckily there was lots of people that could help. And we knew that we wanted it bound. We both had this vision. Every time we sort of faltered and just close our eyes and we'd see this bound copy. And we talked to friends, and eventually found Louise James of the Binding Studio, who did a beautiful job on the book. We thought, we can't print something by hand and then just have it stuck. So the books are hand sewn, which again brings me full circle back to the textiles of, you know, everything being done by hand. And I actually helped out on the books, and great respect for the binding, not something I want to do. There's about 11 processes alone just in the spine, so yeah, an amazing woman.
What I think is really interesting is that the solidity, so bringing things into the physical, so then you could actually tell the story in the way that it needed to be told. And often, you know, that's part of what needs to happen for us all, is that we need to bring things into the physical. And your comment around he was really big and then bringing it down. Sometimes we need to go really big, but then we bring it all back down. And to minimise, to simplify. So, you know, there's some real gifts in what Claire's just said, really. And also to let go of the colour. I mean, I love that. I call it the double-edged sword, when we need to be passionate and enthused and totally into whatever we're doing, but we also need to have no attachment. So we need to be detached from the outcome, because that then creates openness for it to occur. So there's some beautiful analogies of Claire's story in a physical way for what actually needs to happen on the emotional and mental levels when we're engaged in life, as well as in projects.
I think the book, you know, started out as a very complex story, very complex, you know, layers of colours, and in fact became very stripped back, and it's a very simple story. I mean, it's a children's story, but it's a children's story for every child within every person, and it is so simple, and the drawings are simple, and if you look at, you know, just past me a page there, I wanted it to have a timeless quality. So, you know, years and years of working in textiles and hiding my work with layers, to actually strip back and go, this is the line, this is all I am. You know, that was very vulnerable place to be. And the same with the words. I worked with an editor, and that was probably one of the scariest moments of when I sent my book that I had been rewriting for 3 years, the story being in my head for so long, and it was like sort of getting your essay back with red. And I'm dyslexic, so and my spelling is terrible, but I know the spell check, but I mean, there were muddles, there were also, and what I thought was a great story, she came back and said, I had 4 different styles going on. I had it set in all different periods of time, and what did I want? And I mean, that's the dreaded question, isn't it? What do you want? And it was looking at, and I was really, oh gosh, just at that point of, I don't know whether I can work with this person, like this is so hard. And I actually talked to Debbie, and she sort of said she had a similar experience and then didn't pick it up again. And I thought, no. And Debbie said, make yourself a cup of tea, talk kindly to yourself. And I went back and reread the comments, and they weren't unkind, they were really, really helpful. And so together, again, the collaboration that Debbie said, I love the collaboration. And I could put my ego out of the way and say, okay, I've asked for some help, she's given me some help, she really knows what she's talking about. And we decided on that the book was set in a sort of old, timeless quality. It's probably Victorian Edwardian, but we didn't want to actually put a period on it. It is fantasy. The garden that it's set in is sort of between England and New Zealand, I guess, but it's just in my head. It's not in any particular place. But there were certain lines. There was one line I really liked, and it was like she had no handbook on learning how to fly. And then the editor said, well, they wouldn't have had handbooks in those days. So again, I had to let go of that, but I used it again later on in marketing it. But again, people don't see the work that goes behind it. It was 13 rewrites in 1 month. So, sitting at my kitchen table when my children had gone to bed, on the computer after a whole day's work. There was to do this book. There was no weekends. There's no, You have to give up some things if you want the result, I guess.
Yeah, again, it's about where we put our energy. So if that's the focus that we're doing, then that's what we need to commit fully to.
And it's discipline. It's the creativity is the fun bit. The coming up with the figures, even making the models. That is fun. But the repetition, the tenacity of turning up to the drawing board, and the 6 drawings that you throw away before you get the one that you like, all those kind of the frustrations that people don't see. Some of the drawings, the one in the tree, that one hang. No, this is my favourite one. So he actually, I sat the model on the kitchen bench and lay on my belly on the floor looking up to do that. So you imagine how uncomfortable you are to do a drawing. There's all those things behind the scenes that, again, just kept thinking, think of the book, you've got to keep doing it. And doing, we did a spreadsheet, and anyone who knows me will know I absolutely loathe spreadsheets, but it was good for the timing of things, because I was kind of willy-nilly doing all the drawings, and it was actually, there's no point doing all the drawings if you haven't got the writing sorted out. So it was actually, the spreadsheet was really good of looking at what order you do. So, I think before I was kind of just collecting. I had this basket and I was collecting all the creativity, the writing, and just not putting a lid on that. And I think at that exploring stage, that's really important. But in order to get something on the table, there needs to, again, like the book became simple, it was actually how are we going to get from A to B? And that big how again was just breaking it down into bite-sized pieces. I'm a busy mum, I work, run my own business. I didn't have the luxury to do this all in one go. I had to do little bits at a time, and it was how we fit that in without this overwhelming feeling of there's no point, it's too hard, or I haven't got time, because I've always thought that I haven't got time, and my motto to that is create time. But I'm getting a bit tired as I'm getting older, but I used to just work through the night. But yeah.
Yeah, but it is bringing that back. We need to, the ideas that we have, and it's even on your spiritual path, it's all out there, but you need to bring it back. Need to bring it back into, okay, what am I doing today? Mm-hmm. So, Claire's going, what am I doing today? I've got all these pictures, I need to write the story. So if we can do, and I know you did snippets of chunks of time, is that if we do, if I've only got half an hour, then that's what I do. I do half an hour of writing, I do half an hour of drawing, I do half an hour of meditating, I do half an hour of sitting in the garden. It's doing chunks of time. It's not that you've got the big picture, but we need to bring it in. I'm going to show you a picture of Little Wing because we haven't even shown her yet. So here she is here. She's looking absolutely gorgeous. And Little Wing is all about thinking that you can't fly and yet you can. And it's about what you find for yourself. Is this what I took out of that. So it's not waiting for anybody else to give you your wing. It's about you realising somebody can point the way and say, actually, all you need to do is this. And so that may be an offhand comment, it may be a realisation that you have yourself, but really the story is about that we can all fly. We just actually don't believe we can. We believe we are inhibited. Well, you can tell me if that's not the right story, but believe that we're inhibited when in actual fact we're not. The inhibiting factor is ourselves, and that's what. But there's hard work. There's hard work doing your dream. Claire's comment. This is 4 years, and you'll see and throughout the video pictures and frameworks and the models. 4 years to create something that somebody might say, I could do that in a weekend. They can't, because there's a whole lot of depth to that. There's a whole lot of, as Claire said, the reducing down, the re-evaluating, the letting go. Those are really important things.
And the thing about Little Wing is that she doesn't believe that she has 2 wings, and then she's really surprised when everyone has seen that she has had 2 wings all her life. And that's the other thing, is that listen to people, because we often don't see all our greatness, all our qualities, or maybe we don't want to see them. But her journey was really about finding out that she had to do it herself. I mean, there were people around to help her, but ultimately, she had to do it herself, which is what I have to do as well. So yes,
and that we all have to do.
Yes.
That's the truth. Is that we will get the support, but at the end of the day, we have to do that. We have to take the first step. We have to make that commitment. We have to channel our passion. But we can actually all fly. So I'm going to show you the book. Have you got? No, is this copy? Yeah. So this is the selling part. So when you order the book, you also get a free print that Claire has obviously drawn, printed and coloured, and I'll just let Claire tell you about the subtleties of this because that's her domain.
So this was a way of me getting colour into the project. As I said, the book was in black and white. So these are all printed on an old 1860s Albion hand press, and it's absolutely beautiful, and you can see pictures of that on my website. And it was really important for us to give something of value with the book, so we couldn't make the book any cheaper because it's a collector's piece and obviously what's gone into it, but I wanted to gift a print, and these prints are actually worth $100 each, and they come free with the book.
Or you can order the prints as well.
You can
so
have those
they're a
separate
beautiful
as well.
gift as well, so you might want to order 3 books and 5 prints.
Thank you, Debbie.
But they are really gorgeous. They're just beautiful, and the essence. What's beautiful about these is that the drawings just hold the essence, and the colour just gives you a little bit of extra splash, so they're really pretty. So details follow. So this is the book. So as you can see, it's beautifully bound. And what do you call this when it's input like that?
I can't remember now.
But anyway, it's the opposite of embossed, so it goes in. I don't know what you call it.
That was the wrong question to ask.
That's right.
We'll ask Lou.
So I'm going to get Claire to read a little passage. So it's a fabulous book. It's a real gift that you could have as an heirloom or a treasure, a taonga that you could pass down to your children. As I said, the story is really simple, but there's a very powerful message in that. And the beauty of stories is that we don't have to be really overt, that the messages can be subtle. And that's often what our subconscious will pick up on, and that's why you can read something and be uplifted but not really understand why. And that's one of the joys in Little Wing. And everything that we do has energy. So the beautiful collaborative, the passion, the desire that's held in this book, every time you open a page you get that. So I'm just going to go to my, I love this bit. Where's the one that she's stuck in the compost? Can you find that?
Yeah.
So Claire's an inspiration because she took a passion. She took, even despite being told, you and everybody else, she has done it, and she has sold these books. You can order them, and we'll have the details at the end of the video, so you can order them directly. And there's also a video that you'll see that you can go and it talks a little bit more about the making of the book. Links to that. Read that.
That one.
Okay.
Yeah. How do I unstick the wing? She asked. You just have to ease it out, little by little, he answered. Be patient. He smiled his mysterious smile. She had 1,000 more questions, but the Hat Man had vanished. Where was her witch mother now, she wondered, and how would she ever unstick this troublesome wing? All she could remember was something about being patient. Little Wing had no idea how to be patient. She was desperate to unfold her crumpled wing, so she asked everyone she knew to help her. They tugged, they grabbed, they pulled, they pushed, and nothing worked. Despondent and defeated, she sat by the compost heap and cried. I don't know what to do, she sobbed. Out of the corner of her eye, she spotted the Hat Man, perched in the old apple tree. She glared up at him in frustration. Have you tried freeing it? He smiled, taking a slow, large bite out of a juicy red apple. Yes! Everyone tried freeing it, she exploded. He calmly shook his head. Only you can free your wing, he said, with a little sigh. Little Wing knew what he said was true.
So only you can free your wing. So I'm hoping that you're inspired today. Thank you, Claire. All the details to purchase the book will be online, as I said, after this. And if you want to contact Claire, her details will be there as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Debbie.
And thank you for watching.
Thank you.